Hello, I am Jaime Elizondo from Real World Ranching, where our goal is to help you achieve maximum profitability while you improve your land the fastest. Today, I would like to talk about common sense and how it is the least common of the senses. I'm going to start with the definition of common sense, and it is sound and prudent judgment based on a simple perception of the situation or facts. It is the ability to reach intelligent conclusions, a choice showing good sense, tempered and refined by experience, training, and maturity, using wisdom. Why is common sense so important in life? Well, common sense is a form of practical decision-making and the ability to imagine the consequences of something you do. It stops us from making irrational mistakes and makes it easier to make choices on what to do. We are not born with common sense, but we develop it over time. We all are born with an ability to build common sense through your genetic intelligence. And as you grow and develop, your common sense will also grow and develop with you. So there you have it. Common sense is learned or acquired in life by us learning from experience and has to do more with emotional intelligence than with only being intelligent. So how do you avoid not having common sense? We all need common sense to avoid outdated paradigms or old ideas that no longer work. How do you know if you lack common sense? A person may be considered to be lacking in common sense if they continue to believe or do something when there is evidence to suggest they would do better of thinking, acting differently. We often say that such a person is set in their ways and unable to change. The first thing to note is common sense comes from experience in the school of life, not from formal education. So to acquire common sense, we need to gain experience, learn to reflect, develop a perspective, overcome fear, be decisive, respond or create, keep it simple. It brings to mind how the way ranchers and farmers graze their animals has not changed much from a long time ago. Livestock has been grazed continuously for a very long time, hundreds of years, and this has created land degradation caused by a loss of humus or carbon, along with the water it contained. The loss of humus came by overgrazing and weakening of desirable forage plants when they were regrazed too soon, before they had a full recovery. And this is what causes our best forage species to die and be replaced by undesirable species or invasive species. So grazing experts realized this in the USA and came up with some experiments done in 1955, which demonstrated, beyond a doubt, that forage plants that were grazed repeatedly before full recovery will stop root growth and diminish in vigor. Back in those times, there were no electric fences and no portable wire as we have now. The recommendation then was made to not graze more than half the plant so that under the continuous grazing of the time, the desirable plants will not die. So now let's move forward to around the year 2000. New grazing experts decided that the soil needed an armor to protect soil life from the high or low ambient temperature, depending on the season, and they kept recommending to not take more than half and went further by recommending to only take 1/3. Now we know that they were taking their temperature readings on the surface of the soil and not under the surface where the soil microorganisms live. If we take the temperature 4 inches deep, it will not be too high or too low when soil has good biology. So this is where the leave 1/3 harvest 1/3 and trample 1/3 recommendation came from. Now, we move forward to our actual time, 2022, where economics have greatly changed and we absolutely need a high stocking rate carried at a low cost to make money. If we have a high stocking rate and try to apply that recommendation of harvesting only 1/3 of the available forage, we are going to create overgrazing, which leads to our best forage species being replaced by undesirable species and invasives. You may say, hey, but this has been happening for a long time. Undesirable and invasive species have taken control of most degraded land in the world, and this is true. What I am trying to expose is how, by not using our common sense, we replace very bad advice from 1955 with equally bad advice from the take 1/3 only grazing gurus. If doing selective and continuous grazing degraded the land, why would overgrazing created by only harvesting 1/3, leaving 1/3, and trampling the rest work any better at the high stocking rates required for productivity and profitability nowadays? Overgrazing means regrazing a plant before it has fully recovered its roots' energy reserves and comes from a too short rest period. So, by harvesting only 1/3 and trampling the rest, this is what will happen. Number one, our herd will advance 3 times faster, and rest periods are 3 times shorter. This equals overgrazing whenever we have a short-term dry time. And 2, the trample forage creates a mulch, which inhibits seedlings and new shoots from growing due to lack of sunlight. The shade of the thatch would not allow them to grow. This leads to larger interplant spacings because some of those growing shoots die, or a smaller solar panel, the opposite of what we need and can achieve with the total grazing program. My friends, this is a total lack of common sense. If these gurus or scientists had observed how livestock graze, if they had done their homework and studied basic plant physiology, and most importantly, how new humus is created, they would not have made these flawed recommendations. I know that what I am saying here goes against what you have been told was true. So I propose to you this: make your own observations and conclusions. Do not be misled by people that are not themselves real ranchers or farmers that make their living from grazing animals. We need to increase our actual and future productivity, and this means improving our soil through the right type of grazing. The type of grazing which creates a larger leaf-to-stem ratio in the regrowth. So remember, common sense comes through experience, and experience comes by doing, not by studying. You can study all you want about how to swim, but unless you jump into the water and start doing it, you will never succeed. Conclusion and recap. Number 1, common sense is the least common of the senses. 2, while some scientists are very intelligent, they have not learned by doing, which means they are lacking in real-world experience, where they need to make a living of grazing livestock. 3, observe, adapt, study, reflect, conclude, and apply. If you make mistakes, do not worry, replan, and continue until you get it right. 4, your situation is unique and your conditions are unique. No one else will do this for you. You need to understand the basic principles and apply them to your situation. 5, the total grazing program mimics nature and was devised, trialed, and perfected by an on-the-ground rancher that makes his living from grazing livestock. 6, by implementing the total grazing program, we can carry a high stocking rate, avoid overgrazing, improve our land, and create a large reserve of deferred grass in around half of our property. 7, Your new humus creation will grow faster than by any other means. There it is. I hope you like this podcast and you can put this into practice. Thank you, and until next time, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube, or join us for the weekly email at www.rwranching.com/join. See you next time.